Tennessee goes to Fayetteville last night. Vietnam to the more informed in the South, especially when you're a ranked team going in there against unranked Arkansas. They will take the tip of that nose, they will push it up, and they will just shout woo pig on you all night. And they did. And you know what? They only needed 19 points to beat Tennessee last night. And the model kind of low-key cooked on this one. And I feel bad because the model was screaming, take Arkansas on the points, and I screamed right back at it. And that ended in a predictable fashion. Arkansas needed this so bad. I don't mean the university. That's just brick and mortar. Those are buildings. The people of Arkansas needed this so bad because it's been a downtime for quite a while, and there was this brief injection of life when Sam Pitman first got there. And I'll tell you why. Because he's one of them. He's one of their own. And he took over for a long laundry list of people who didn't properly appreciate what they have there in Fayetteville, and he does. And you cut him open, and he bleeds Arkansas red. But then slowly but surely, is he really the right guy? And then boom, he drops a 4-Chalai Classic on you in a win last night. They needed it. They needed it so bad. Their last win over a top 5 team was a 3-overtime win against LSU. And does anyone know what year that game happened in? Anybody? It's 2007. 2007. 2007. I say it 3 times for effect. Only because yesterday felt a lot like, drum roll please, 2007. And I just want to leave that here. I just want to have sprinkled that into the show tonight because it may be nothing or it may be a sign of things to come. Arkansas has had a tough time of it. I was so happy for these folks that they got this win. Now, it was bad for Tennessee, but if you're going to fall, I want you to fall somewhere where I think the folks really deserve it, whether it's Vandy or whether it's Arkansas. So good for the Hogs and good for Trey Biddy over at Hog Sports 247. College football is so different. College football is the greatest sport on the face of the earth. We all know it. That's why we're watching the show. We're doing the show tonight. But, buddy, covering the NFL is a suit and tie affair. Covering college football is a company polo, pouring sweat on a Saturday night in the trenches affair. Grab your selfie stick, go down there in a sea of Arkansas humanity and do exactly what Trey Biddy did last night. This right here is my favorite thing that any of our team site guys do every week. This piece of content that he does called the Walk and Talk. And for so long, hold the footage for a second, Colin, for so long, I have watched Trey Biddy have to mope around an empty stadium where the only sound is trash blowing around in the stands, and he's having to explain as best he can how Arkansas blew one again. And finally last night, it's not an empty stadium. It's not a head held low. It's not very questionable posture that's going to affect the spine later on. Trey Biddy in all his glory is down there in the thick of it, and right here is what separates college football from the NFL.
But it's pandemonium here in Fayetteville. There's a lot of orange in this crowd today, a lot of disappointed people. What's up, everybody? Say hello. This is the kind of environment that we've missed. People talk about like Arkansas always loses to a team they're not supposed to. Then they beat a team that they're not supposed to. And this one finally got that one. It's the first time since 2022 against Ole Miss since they really beaten somebody that nobody gave them a chance in. 14.
I love it. I love Trey Biddy, and I love it, and I don't care who knows. You know, there are different types of wins in college football. So sometimes you have the star performance where some guy just goes off, and it's clear that that's the player of the game, that's the way the game was won. There's the kind of game where you're +5 turnovers, and you sort of luck your way into a win. And then there's just the gritted-out program win. That's what Arkansas had yesterday. I was on the flight back last night watching this. Probably came close to flying over Fayetteville, actually. And I've got like 4 games going on simultaneously. Thank you, United. I heard Klatt had a problem with his United flight home, but you guys came through for me at least. But they lose Taylon Green. So I see out of the corner of my eye, there goes Arkansas starting quarterback. And then Jaquinton Jackson, for good measure, their best running back, he goes down as well, one of the best tailbacks in the country. And you know what that means. It means that if you're trailing a team like Tennessee and your 2 studs go down, you came close. And you'll play what if forever, but you're going to lose that game. And Malachi Singleton comes in, backup quarterback there, and he leads a touchdown drive, and Tennessee's still got a minute and change left with 2 timeouts. So then your mind's thinking, I can't believe Arkansas's got the lead here. Like, how in the world did this happen? boy, what a story this would have been, but they left him too much time. But they didn't leave him too much time. Travis Williams, defensive coordinator there at Arkansas, he can't be a player of the game, but, I mean, he can vault his way high atop the Broyles Award list, if you will, of which I'm a voter on. So I'm kind of giving you away a little bit of what I thought about their defensive performance yesterday, because they held on and they got a stop down there when they needed to. And it was such a relief. It was such a validation of the fact that no one's given up there. No one's mailed it in. I think the biggest disparity between the way maybe a casual fan watches sports, college football specifically, versus the way college football actually happens is when you got guys who are from a place, they don't have any other option. Like Sam Pittman, he'll retire one day, maybe sooner rather than later, I don't know. But like Arkansas failing is not an option for him. So in pro sports, I mean, I watched Deshaun Watson walk off a field today and just decline to go for it on fourth down. Man, that's not the attitude that people have in college football at places like Arkansas. There's so much pride in the performance for the folks that you're one of. And so they've been bad. But it's never been an issue of, well, they've let go of the rope. They just hadn't been good enough. And so he made some moves this past hiring cycle, brought Bobby Petrino in. He's got himself a really good defensive coordinator up there as well, and they hadn't white flagged it. I don't think Tennessee overlooked them either. I saw a lot of my Tennessee folks saying, man, how could we overlook Arkansas? You just got beat by Arkansas. You were coming out of a bye week. You didn't overlook them. Stop playing around. You didn't overlook them. You just weren't good enough. You were the second best team Saturday night. So then when I start thinking about Tennessee, I'm thinking, okay, what are we dealing with here with Nico Iamaleava? I had my expectations. Everyone had their expectations coming into the year. He's not going to meet them this year. It doesn't look like. All right, so like I talked about with Bama and like I'll talk about with a bunch of teams, the more information we get, the more we calibrate and readjust our perception and therefore our expectations. So they had one explosive pass yesterday in this game. Nico played wire to wire. It had shades of what the Oklahoma game was, but in the Oklahoma game, they popped Oklahoma, hit Thornton over the middle, and he bust one to the house, and that was sort of a separator, and then it became blatantly obvious with Jackson Arnold being benched. Oklahoma was never going to mount any kind of legitimate comeback until the very end of that game. Arkansas got back in this game yesterday, but Tennessee never pulled away. Like, they never broke the 20-point barrier in this game like they did that game. So they had 7 drives that went 30 or less plays and ended in a punt. They averaged 63 points their first 3 games. We knew it was against inferior competition, but I did not expect the crowbar protocol to be in place here. And you could decide, because honestly, either of these work. Some people think crowbar, they think Nancy Kerrigan, shins, she's down, she's out, she can't skate anymore. I mean crowbar as in the effect it has when you throw a crowbar in bicycle spokes. And the reason I use that is because it doesn't slow the bike down. It just stops the bike suddenly. And that can happen in college football. You can get fat on inferior competition, but if you face a certain level, the freeze point as we like to call it, then all of a sudden you go from going really fast to you're not going at all. And that's Tennessee's offense. That was Tennessee's offense yesterday. Or to a large degree it was. Play calling is under heavy fire right now from Tennessee fans. You know I don't question play calling on this show. I'm not qualified to. I don't think most of you are either. But I don't do it. You can do whatever you want to. But I will say this. Knowing Josh Heupel like I do, or like I think there's probably a pretty good reason why he's choosing to call plays the way he is. You may not like how little he attacked down the field, or you may not like this and that, but a lot of that is him understanding what he does and doesn't have and does and doesn't trust about his offense right now. And a lot of it is also what the defense is giving him. You know, a lot of that is baked into the equation as well. But now it gets real for Tennessee, as it does Arkansas as well. Because now Tennessee's got Florida coming in this week. And you want to know something? You want to know what FanDuel said about that game? Florida fresh off a win. Tennessee fresh off a loss. Tennessee's favored by 16.5 Saturday in Neyland against Florida. I was there the last time Florida went there. It wasn't a pretty afternoon for them. So if odds makers are right, it'll be a great big bounce back moment for Tennessee in this offense. I'll have to see them cover that number to believe it, but maybe they will. We'll see. Arkansas threw away the Oklahoma State game. I think most of us know that if we watched it. They were in a dogfight with A&M last week, and that's nothing to be sad about because A&M's a pretty good team, as it turns out. Here's the meaning of that. You are not always what your record says you are. Sure, Arkansas was a 3-2 team coming into this game yesterday. But when we look at the way those two losses played out, we understand this is a team that could just as easily have been 5-0 as they were 3-2. And that doesn't matter for the past, but what it does affect is the here and now and the future. And so there was always the possibility in the deck of cards going into last night that you could face a team with its back against the wall in wounded animal mode at home that plays at a 5-0 level against you because they're capable of it. And that's kind of what you got. And it wasn't enough. You didn't have enough. Heupel knows what he does have, what he doesn't have. And Arkansas is now 4-2 going into a bye. And then they play LSU, I think, at home after that. And like I said, Florida's at Tennessee. So what we got is we got a very, very muddy picture in the SEC. At the top, you got Texas up there, and they haven't hit the meat of their schedule yet. We've got Texas A&M in the mix. We got LSU, Georgia, Ole Miss, Alabama, Tennessee, like a lot of these teams in the mix. But, you know, statistically, Arkansas is as well. So let's not write this in pen. Here we have a pen. I would recommend dropping that. And I would recommend just putting all these opinions we have right now down in pencil. Because scary, scary times could be ahead. Not just in this conference, but in college football in general.